Gone up brain dead, can't decide. You can't pray enough, you can't hide. You can be good, or you can cry. Do it wrong, not at all, or do it right. No one owes you, no one's to blame. Sit for bad genes or DNA. Ask your conscience the why and how. Do it then, do it when, do it now. What's up, sweet cakes? Who's here? Way. Good. Easy. What you gonna do, little buckaroo? Yeah, you gotta do. People keep asking now. No, we all can be super fly. GQ, PhD, FBI. You can present.
Yo! Welcome to another No Kick Gaming with the best of the gaming space. Matt Buxton, Simon,
Hey,
and Shaolin. How you guys doing?
mate, it has been a crazy day. I would have to say that I can see why Web3 gaming struggles today. I can really see that. But it is fantastic. There are so much opportunities. In fact, everything is awash with opportunities right now. And to see all of the shame and doom and gloom on the timeline, it's really the curse of anyone who raised in 21 finally fucking dying and making. And we know that there are fantastic real games coming, and it's exciting. It's exciting times. So I'm going to hand it over to the rest of the panel for intros, and let's kick this fucking epic space off. It's going to be amazing today.
Well then, Aero, aka Simon, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm very good. Yeah, very busy, very good. Very happy to be here. I think we're talking about tokens or something today, aren't we? It sounds quite interesting. I'm sorry.
Quite the expert on the topic, shouldn't you?
I'm really bad at reading these briefs, but they're always beautifully crafted. So my bad, but I think I did spot it's going to be a fun topic.
It's going to be wild. We got Shaolin. How's it going, Xiao?
Yeah, doing well. Hopefully my mic's not killing you this time around. Maybe it's working. Is it okay? Is it still low?
It's good now. It's good.
Okay, good. No, man, I'm super excited about today's topic, but also too, just like to Matt's point, it's so funny to see the timeline when things aren't that moving and you have these conversations. It's so funny how much drama gets escalated. And even then, right, you see like mints and people complaining and fighting like, oh my gosh, should I mint this or not? I don't know. It's your money. Make your own decisions, guys. Like the fact that people have the opportunity to potentially make money and they're all fighting the opportunity that they were given for InfoFi, I'm like, it astounds me what people in this space are willing to talk about and not willing to do when they're just shaky, when the market's shaky.
100%.
Well, what's the biggest, right now, the biggest talk point that everybody is raging about?
Well, it's Web3 Gaming is Dead version 2.0 featuring Moonfrost leaving OpenLoot. And, I happen to have a theory on this. I happen to think that OpenLoot with the platform they built and 160 million or so that they've got, I know that there's quite a bit of frustration from people who play those games in those ecosystems, quite a bit of frustration from the developers themselves. But what I also know is that you can't get out of OpenLoot unless you fight them in a court of law. You are locked into OpenLoot. And I think, and this is my theory, this is my conspiracy tinfoil hat moment, is that basically Moonfrost didn't want to get sued, didn't want to try to stay in Web3 independently because they wouldn't be allowed to. They probably have a big old non-disparagement and they probably can't afford the kind of lawyers that you can afford when you have 160 million in the bank. So their only opportunity to survive as a studio was to leave OpenLoot because it was killing them. But they had to leave Web3 entirely. And I don't think they wanted to do that. But what was happening to them was unsustainable. And you can see similar with Spider Tanks took, 2 years to get out of Gala? Some of these platforms have been absolute nightmares on this. But yeah,
I have to say,
that's
thank
my take.
God for the savior of the indie studios, Warp Chain, which will allow all these guys to survive on their own without having to feel shackled by the corporate infrastructure that they're so hard, fought against, because that's the whole reason of Web3. The decentralization of gaming means that gives the creators the freedom to make things that people want, not just conform to some big bully that is going to tell them you either do what I want or you're dead.
Yep.
Alpha with the emoji. But that's what we want to see. We want to see more studio get freed, and we're here for it.
100%. Handing it over to Alpha, who's emoting hardcore here.
Yo, everyone, what's good? I'm super hyped to be here on No Cap Gaming, live from Warp. Appreciate the invite. It's always dope to see a space that bridges real gaming energy with Web3 innovation. And, it's today's convo is right up my alley. So I checked the brief too, and there are some really interesting questions, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Exciting times. We also have our very own partners from VaraChain. We've got A-Bomb. Shocking name. Really cool. Let's get you up. Just joined. How's it going?
What's up, guys? Yeah, thanks, Matt. This is Adam here from Vara. Yeah, looking forward to today's discussion. You guys always have good spaces, good people, good thoughts, good insights. Yeah, so ready to rock and roll.
Fantastic. And should we get into the icebreakers to allow the others to introduce themselves and go for it, Grim?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of conflicted. I want to ask a DGen one, but I can also ask the normal one. Let's go with the normal one. What's the most unexpected item you ever seen tokenized? And this can spread all over the spectrum. You don't have to focus on just gaming, but I think this is quite a fun question. Alpha immediately with the hands raised. Let's go, brother.
Yeah, honestly, someone once tokenized their Counter-Strike knife skin, but that wasn't even the wild part. I've seen some people mint tokenize Discord bans and in-game screenshots as NFTs. It's hilarious, but it shows how far people will push digital ownership.
I mean, Counter-Strike skin already are, in a way, NFTs. We just never put the label on them. And recently, fun fact, there was a $2 billion bust on the market for those skins, if you know about them. The reason why is because Valve made it a lot easier to gain those really rare, hard to get skin by just combining 5 or your other ones. So you could take just some standard skin that you didn't want and you just replaced them, converted them to the rarer ones. So those hard to get knives, gloves, and whatnot that used to be unattainable with a hefty price tag over 5 digit now became accessible to a lot of people. So the whole market just crashed.
You're right. And I feel bad for not keeping my account. I hope that PUBG Mobile is going to bring something like that in the future. Even Pokemon, I'm a veteran Pokemon player. And, I see, a dead opportunity with Pogo, because if they somehow tokenize, everything that we hold, that it's going to, the value is going to raise. And I'm going to maybe ask Matthew, because he's also a player. What do you think, Matt?
I am baffled as to how you are slightly lower level than me, and you have 50 or 60, 100 IV Pokemon, when I've been playing since, I had it since 2016, but I've been playing since 2022. Really, I only played 2 weeks back then. But how do you have so many shiny Pokemon that are 100 IVs when I've got none? Not one, not even one fucking Pokemon that is both shiny and has 100. Anyway, tokenizing, the weirdest thing that I've ever seen tokenized, and this is an old one. Do you remember when people were tokenizing tweets from back pre-X days? Someone tokenized Jack Dorsey's tweet. I don't even think it was Jack Dorsey. I thought that was really weird. So that was the weirdest things. Like that was really, what can we fucking turn into an NFT? I'll turn a meme into an NFT and weird shit like that. So I'd say weirdest thing I saw tokenized was tweets, and that have since worthless.
Let's go to the other hands. I know that Project Eldrum was first, so let's go, Eldrum. What did you see tokenized that shocked you?
Well, it's a very good question. All the JPEGs that don't have utility, for me, it's very weird. Like, okay, I understand art, but look, I've been in Rome. I saw art. I like that one, you know, Sixtine Chapel, David, Michelangelo, and those guys. That's actually real art, and it has rarity. And I'm being sarcastic here because rarity, when I say it's limited edition, that those things, you know. So all the tokenized assets that do not have utility, rarity, and I mean they are not in limited collections and small numbers, not billions of NFTs or other types of that, because and they do not have demand also. So,
wow, Project Eldrum just
sorry
literally
to
took a
go like-
shotgun to the entire NFT boom, and also slightly suggesting to kill NFT artists who increase the rarity of their work.
No, the artists are great if they actually do real art, right? Not AI art or something.
Well, with AI, I mean, you can basically tokenize anything anyway now. But I mean, it's a very good point. Like the whole JPEG tokenization craze was really, it was about the exclusivity of owning something that's expensive, in my mind. We see Tarish with the hand up, and then Chow.
Yo, what's up, guys? So I was actually curious about this one. So I decided to chat GPT this to just find out what some of the weirdest NFTs were. Now the tweets that you mentioned, I think that they did Vitalik's first tweet also. So that was really weird. But they also had that loot NFT, if you remember, where like you had the list of items that you had or like equipment or whatever that you got, and you just minted that and you just had that list. And it was supposed to turn into like a game or something. And I guess it just never took off, even though the NFTs went viral. And then they had digital farts. They had virtual farts that people were selling, like the fart jar like things, and then virtual sticks for dogs. So yeah, people are tokenizing really dumb shit, and you wonder why we get a bad rap.
How do you feel about the fact that Teresh had to look that up though, right, on ChatGPT? Like the fact that we're having creators use GPT to create their own topics or answer to topics, especially as an icebreaker. I feel kind of Teresh, you got me straight in the bum.
The loot,
right?
the loot one and the Vitalik one were both things I've seen before. I was
Well,
curious
we're gonna
about like the
tokenize your takes.
weirdest were.
It makes sense, to be
That's
honest. Something can go to an extent that we can't even expect. I mean, the weirdest things that I've seen, I think that's, OnlyFans models tokenizing their like porn and selling it as an NFT.
That makes sense to me though.
Yeah, sort of. But when you have OnlyFans, they don't even need to do that. You just subscribe and you get, more and more money out of these people rather than
you get tired of that porn video, you sell it to the next guy that wants to go into it.
It's better than leaving it in the woods, I guess, which used to be the main
If it's a
distribution
limited
method.
edition and there is demand, then maybe.
There we go. I mean, you can't be an OnlyFans model forever, right? So why not tokenize your assets? Sorry, while you still have them.
Oh, we've seen a lot in the NFT space, but go for it.
Yeah, no worries. I actually wanted to add something that I came up with myself that I remembered. Thanks, Teres. Do you remember the guy who actually did a picture every day of a selfie, and he actually sold this for millions, if not tens of millions of dollars NFT? I thought that was the craziest
You're talking
thing ever.
about people.
No,
Not people.
Well, he didn't do
back in
portraits,
Indonesia.
did he?
Yeah. No, but he actually did art. This guy literally just took a selfie.
Philippines, right?
Philippines or Indonesia, one of the two. But yes, but that was crazy that went for as much as it did.
Picture every day, right?
Yes, everyday picture. Yes, he took a selfie.
365, and then oh, that was so cool. There was another one with I think scenery where they were like traveling around. They have some really cool shit out there. That really dumb shit, but really cool shit too.
Oh, we just lost Starish.
Oh no, I just stopped speaking.
Oh, okay. No, well, I was thinking that you got a phone call and you give me the mic drop. Okay, fine. Take it.
Well, good. Well, let's go to the next question, I think.
Do we want to start diving into the topic? Because we could talk about
Yeah, let's do that.
what even is a tokenized game. And I think that you guys can really explore this concept. It's like, because now we play games like every day of our lives, whether it is on mobile, whether it is on PC, Xbox, console, whatever you want. But very few have realized that there is already items in game that get distributed, but they stay into a centralized ecosystem. So what are the benefits? Why tokenizing games? Who wants to jump in? Don't be shy.
To give people a sense of permanence so they pay more for it.
Oh, so it's
Straight
the
up
money. Ah, I see.
Always.
I don't know. There's a lot
about
of
the
reasons to
billions.
tokenize things. I think one of the best reasons for tokenizing things is just so that you don't need to have, all your data on your own centralized server. I think that's actually a perk for anyone developing anything. Other people can, look after that data for you in a decentralized way. I think that's actually like really convenient.
Do you see that we are migrating from like a hosting service where there's going to be like nodes and tokenized entities that are run by the people, like sort of what we see like the Ethereum network, the Solana network, or like the more decentralized ones, but a game that never dies because it's always hosted by the players, hosted by the people that are interested in it, and they constantly earning revenue because of that hosting. This could be.
Like it's not impossible with decentralized compute and pretty much decentralized everything else, right? But it's I think it takes me to like Elon Musk and what he wants to do with autonomous taxis and people being able to go to sleep and let their taxi go and do things. Like I think everyone's computer is getting more and more powerful. Everyone's phone even is getting more and more powerful, and it makes sense to make use of these devices and monetize these devices as well as your data and everything on them. It just makes sense for us all to share that.
Technical. Well, let's throw it to JV. My friend, tell us your take about tokenizing games.
Secondary market.
Oh, it's all secondary market then.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about the money at the end.
Well, you better have those royalties enforceable then, because that was a shocking discovery when people just.
Honestly, like I don't think it's just about the secondary market, guys. Realistically, if you think about it, these are programmatically designed things that you can interact with or tie into or connect into other systems.
Communicate with,
These are things that allow us to do things with an asset from a game, not just in that game, but on the web, connecting into other games, other ecosystems. If we actually like tried to build shit out like this, we'd have Ready Player One in 10 years. The problem is everybody's too busy trying to sell their assets compared to everybody else's assets. So nobody's working together. You can't create that sense of interoperability, but it's available. It's ready. We can do this now. It's just people are too busy competing. So yeah.
100%. That's why I like decentralized identity as like a first principle, because being able to accumulate and improve your identity and take it with you everywhere you go and flex it and have all of the cool stuff that you've achieved and collected with it and take it with you everywhere you go and people be able to recognize it. I think that's a really cool thing to have, especially if you can take it from, GTA 5 to GTA 6 and to every iteration after. I think that's just a cool concept that why not try to accomplish somehow.
Yeah, I think this is A-Bomb here. I think everybody's brought up a lot of the key points of the ethos of Web3 crypto blockchain, which was a verifiable ownership. You just brought up interoperability, which kind of leads to gamers can play. It's just more meaningful, so you can contribute your time, creativity. You have community energy kind of to earn something that ideally has real world value, and cross like platform utility. So it's shifting basically spending time in games to like investing time in worlds, and that kind of leads the way with kind of the technology on the infra side.
Love that take. Love that take.
Mm.
And it actually touches a lot of points that we should talk about. It's like ownership, rewards for the players. How do we incentivize, the longevity of a game? Most of the games right now, which are very successful, they thrive on extraction, from the players. It's like, I give you constant update, I give you constant skins, I give you constant content for your games. But aside from the fun factor, I'm never going to give you anything else. And if you are good at streamings or you're a content creator, you can profit by, building your community and having this distribution of content to the people. But that's a very limited niche. How do we get all the players to benefit from this ecosystem? And that's why Web3 makes sense. But
Yeah, I think especially the closeness, like just making your fans and gamers stakeholders. I think at the moment, like, it's the other way around, right? It's more trying to convert stakeholders into your gamers. But when we have a scenario where you've got a lot of gamers and they can be stakeholders and you can be close, like, it doesn't really require Web3 tech, but it requires those Web3 principles of being at touching point from your audience, so that they can easily pay you to make a product they want. Basically.
Well, Axie Infinity was a very good example of this in the early days, when they were booming, and Ronin Network was early, and a lot of people changed their life because of this. And this could actually become, sort of like a preemption of the future of what's going to happen when it gets actually adopted and demand supports it. But I want to hear from our guest, from our panelist. I know that Turbo Arena is actually stretching his hand for quite a minute. So let's go to TBA.
Hey guys, it's Zodar from TBA. Yeah, and this is something we've been thinking about for quite a while. And I think that we feel like it's the same thing that a lot of other folks have been saying, is the ownership of assets, being able to trade them in the marketplace and things like that. But we also had the idea and had a character creator for our game where you could actually take an NFT character and convert it into a character in the game. So we're hoping and planning that you would be able to do that, where these NFT communities that don't really have a whole lot of utility maybe for their NFT could actually take those and make them in characters in a game. And maybe the gamers that own these NFTs could build their own like little guild for an NFT community, and they can get them to where they're competing in our team deathmatch battles and things like that, as well as also being able to reward with tokens from some of our supporters like Warp. We could be able to give prizes for the Warp tokens if that's something you guys are interested in, and lots of other things as well. But the main thing is we've got an in-game currency, which right now is eggs, which you'll be able to buy with stables is our plan. Stable coins, it goes in, you play with those, and then you can withdraw those or cash those out if you desire. But there could also be some incentives for staking the token, where maybe you get first access to a new gun or first access to some other things, or some other types of rewards that we're working on coming up with. So that's kind of our idea and plans. And we're talking to the folks and getting some ideas and things like that for the future.
I like everything. And I'm sure Aero does too, with the idea of like utilizing the Warp token in different ways.
Oh no, you can take your hands off my tokens. The tokens are special. No, only kidding. Like, yeah, we can do all kinds of stuff. It sounds fun. Like being able to, yeah. I wasn't really thinking about the token component of what you were saying. I was just thinking about the mechanics, being able to unlock stuff and use your own PFP in a game. Like, this is just basic fun stuff that I think Web3 can overlook quite a lot.
You know what I like, Aero, A similar idea came from how Binance does its launches of partnering projects. So you stake your BNB and you get rewarded partnering project tokens automatically. So if you hold like a large chunk of BNB stake, you will get some tokens in their new collaborating project.
Yeah.
So let's say that TBA has a token and they want to reward people that are staking Warp tokens. And this could be a kind of a symbiotic way to introduce and force the ecosystem to add more value, be more consistent in the way that they interact with each other. I love that. And let's go to the next hand. I'll go to Project Eldrum first.
Hello, and thank you. Well, I love games. I've played games all my life since I knew to talk, or I don't know. My first game was Age of Empire 2, and I didn't have a PC. So yeah, I actually was recreating or game designing what I've seen there, like Kingdoms, Troops of Armies on paper. And that's how I started in the gaming industry. Yeah, at some points I can tell you some stories from my personal experience and why I can see tokenizing games. It's actually resolving a very, very big gap or a very big problem that traditional gaming had until now, until blockchain and the utility that blockchain brings. So I'm gonna give you a direct example. I played during high school World of Warcraft. Literally like 1 year and a half, that was all I was doing, going to school, and after that all day, all night playing World of Warcraft. I maxed out like around 4 characters, like Druid, Mage, Warlock, and other one more. And after real life kicked in, after 1 year and a half, I had to quit. So I lost all that grind, and all of those characters were just lost. And when I saw what blockchain with NFTs can do, and also with the tokens, I was like, okay, what if I could actually tokenize or maybe transform those characters into NFTs? And after spending 1 year of 1 year and a half of grinding, okay, I had fun. I'm not complaining on that part, but I could have earned something, because if you tokenize it, then your work it's not useless anymore. And also there are some potential possibilities, like you can see your characters, your creatures from the game you played there where you started. After a few years, maybe they win a tournament leaderboard, and yeah, you are there, like their creator. Well, and let me return back on this, the tokenizing gaming. I really believe that ownership, it's absolutely amazing. I see a lot of games, and I played different types of genres, like real-time strategy, shooter games, action RPGs, and many, many other types, trading card games. And the biggest problem is that you grind way too much. You spend a lot of money, especially if you are playing mobile games. Like, it's just a matter of time until gacha system or some pay to win trick you a little and you start paying, and I see a lot of people that are spending way too much on games that after a few months they will leave them and they will get nothing. So the ownership and the tokenization of that game could actually bring also real value. Why not have fun and actually earn from that? I think it's the most brilliant idea and the most brilliant thing that it can happen to gaming. Also, like UGC, so if you give your community the possibility to actually create new maps, to create new content for the game, then you are on a small path to actually create like a small metaverse, like a small ecosystem in the direction of Ready Player One. Give them the possibility to create the world, and also do the rewards or the share revenue with them. Guys, can you hear me or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can hear
absolutely.
you. We're just
Okay,
listening.
because nobody was. Okay.
Well,
okay.
you want me to speak over you? I don't
No,
know.
it's okay.
Interrupting.
I
I'm good at interrupting. Go
at some point I rugged you.
Keep
I was
going.
like, oh,
No,
maybe I'm
no,
talking
you're good,
alone
man.
here.
But to your point, very interesting. I think the best utilization of like these kind of incentives for people that don't have as much time is buying time in game. It's not actually doing a
Yes.
pay to win kind of infrastructure.
But that's a balance thing, because if you can buy way more than the free to play people can grind, like they have time, yeah, but you buy days or years in advance. They can't catch you.
True,
So that's a
but
balancing thing.
you can never reach the point where it does, unrealistic things like we've seen in Diablo Immortals, right? Where people were able to buy themselves, crazy amount of loot opening bonuses, and then they would get the best gear, the best setup, everything that it could like go in prestige, like to exponential levels, which you could only unlock by having a ton of those tokens. And they made it so impossible to grind them that you would literally have to take years
Had
to
to
even
pay,
match
yeah.
one of these people spending money. That's
But-
not something that is sustainable.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
then you
that's not
are
sustainable.
like fighting your community and just feeding the whales.
Yes.
Uh,
True.
And the community can be hundreds of thousands, and if you fuck it over, sorry guys, you're gonna have like 10 whales playing a game, and the rest is just hanging in the side skirts, just not fun anymore for them. But we got a
Yes.
lot of hands up, so
Just 1 second, like on
Go for
this, I see like a solution on making actually limited content, like limited NFTs, for example, and you have to adapt that to your demand, to your community. So you first have to see like the number of active players, and do not release like, for example, 1 million type of NFTs, even if they are limited. It doesn't make sense if you have only 2,000 people that are actually playing that game. So that's your demand. You have to adapt the rarity of those special items to your community.
Well,
that's one solution.
Well, very important thing to take note. Some items will only ever be able to be achieved, top rank items, by grinding. Even though you paid an astronomical amount, you should always match, the standard level that is acceptable to be competitive, but never above, anything else. But that's it. We got a lot of hands raised, so I would like to hear some other points. JB, you were supposed to be next, but you put your hands down. What's up, brother?
Well, man, I was melting, with the hands up.
I thought so. Well, let's call it, the calisthenic exercise. Hand raise.
Yeah, the point from Project Eldrum is important because he mentioned a keyword, which is earning. So he would like to earn something from all the hours he spent many years ago. And even though that Harish disagree with my take, he mentioned that we have been busy competing against each other, but we didn't find a way to match each other because NFTs at the end of the day fail because you cannot treat NFT as a true asset, because if you get a unique, a rare item from WoW and you want to sell it 10 years after, the question is where I'm going to sell it, in WoW or where? So this NFT was minted in which blockchain? So the whole thing, I insist that the whole situation comes from the secondary market, because if the Web3 find a way to create a global secondary market where this asset can work in this or that blockchain, something like that, it will be like the real success of digital assets. And we will really treat digital asset as a physical asset. There are many brands that, they are pushing, and they were pushing in the past to make this happen. For example, Rolex, Adidas, Louis Vuitton, to implement NFTs to avoid copying on their bags. There are so many ways that people start implementing NFTs, but they still fail. And if there are so many millions of dollars, so many smart brains investing on NFTs, why NFTs are still failing? On the other side, fungible tokens, I truly believe that this is a powerful tool because are easy to transfer, even technically speaking, through a bridge between blockchains, and you can split the NFTs. If this server or if this person stop paying for the server, the image just gone. So I truly believe that NFTs are related to the secondary market where you earn this NFT and you can resell in the future, while fungible tokens, they are the rock star that we need to keep implementing on games. For me, is to tokenize. This is, coming to the title of the space is to tokenize 100%, and you find the utility among your community. But NFT at this point, yet, I still doubt about that.
Arrow.
Controversial. I don't see it
What
like
with
that with
the hand
NFTs.
raise, by the way.
The NFTs thing, yeah, I disagree. I think that NFTs can have massive potential, and I think the reason why big brands have failed with them is because they never really had real intentions with them. I think the primary use case of the NFT has to be different to the financial. I think that's fundamental. Like if it's a gaming asset, then the primary use case has to be in the game. Secondary is whether you can make money out of it. I think that's the way all entertainment should be, really. All fashion items or whatever they should be. They should be primarily a piece of fashion, or primarily a game, or primarily a sweet car, and then the asset is kind of this, and the value of it is kind of secondary. And I think most people in NFTs, and we're all guilty of it, have made it something else. That's why I think NFTs have failed.
They
But I
completely
do
forgot about the fun part.
exactly, and actually, that's what I was going to say as well. When I think it was, who was it that said it? They were talking about UGC. I think UGC is, alongside tokenization, is the way, because that's where you really get that notion of like endless worlds, where we've got these economies in the real world where people use their disposable income and all kinds of shit they don't need or shit that they like. But you could potentially be doing that online, and people just producing endless experiences within games for a developer. If you're a developer and people are just sat there building out your game for you endlessly forever, and people can do commerce and get paid for producing different stuff in that world, that's really an extension of the real world economy. For me, that's where you start talking about a metaverse where really you could actually make a living just by building stuff in a world that people actually spend time in. I think that's where it gets really, really interesting. Just the economy component. And I think like fungible tokens is probably a massive use case for that, because then you can, it's like you're in a different country almost when you enter a game.
You kind of make me think of Second Life. That was the first
Yeah.
real metaverse, if we want to like translate it in a way that they use token. You could buy and convert, those tokens, the simians or whatever they were called. I don't remember now. But into real life currencies, the fiat tokens, and they didn't utilize blockchain, but it was very similar to the way that it was built. I think that could have easily translated to anything Web3.
Yeah, there's loads of models that would just be seamless into Web3. Matt can say better than anyone, I think.
Well, I'm still really interested to see what they do with the new Eve game. The idea of having these alliances and these big clans in the game having their own currencies and basically having their own trading ports and all of this kind of stuff to literally tokenize like the entirety of that stuff.
A world.
And the thing is, they were the first game, I believe, to employ genuine, real economists from the actual economy, and not just guys who'd done an internship at McKinsey and then decided that they were a tokenomics expert just because they wear Arc'teryx and smell like a VC. No, they actually had genuine, proper people doing this, because the level of incompetence, the absolute shockingly terrible, terrifyingly bullshit that we've been subjected to by people funding the wrong fucking stuff, makes all of this dream so painful. Like, I had to go to places like Denver and sit in hacker houses, passing the blunt with a bunch of like Americans from MIT and shit like that, just to feel like the digital future has a purpose. Because some of these guys have literally killed the fucking thing they love because they're too retarded and they just want them up. That's what I'm going to have to say on this. TVA, Tarish, your hand's been up. Everyone's just yank him, jump in.
I'll hop in real quick. One of the things that I heard mentioned here was UGC, and that's another avenue that we can move into with tokenization. If you think about it, you can tokenize your own game experience within a Roblox-esque or a Fortnite-esque kind of game. All it takes is the developer's Sandbox, for instance. You know what I'm saying? You can tokenize these experiences. You can tokenize these game modes and sell them to people.
Assets
for
inside
access.
them, limited edition
Yeah.
collectibles.
Exactly.
Things you can
And then
search for and
everything
find.
moves from one to the next because it's all within the same ecosystem, designed in the same tool, with the same back end, the back infrastructure, back end engine that you're running for the base game, right? These are things that we can do, and I think the company that does it right, because I mean, Sandbox and Decentraland didn't do the greatest with it, but the company that does it right and actually manages to create this game that is really just a base layer for a bunch of other games and allows people to tokenize and create assets and create experiences that people can only experience if they have that NFT or whatever to be able to come into that game. Then people come in, they'll play, they'll hang out with their friends. They might stay forever. They might play the game for 3 months and then get bored with it. And then they sell it on the market. And then somebody new gets to experience that game. You don't have to worry so much about people buying the game, leaving the game, and then just owning that asset. There's only a certain number of people that'll ever be there. You don't have to worry about having a huge number of servers for that specific game because there will only ever be 5,000 people who own the asset to access the game. There's a lot of potential issues that it could solve, and a lot of ideas that it'll open up for people to build in the space, especially people who may not be as technical. When you have an engine like Unity and Unreal, they both have visual coding. There's more and more like tools that we have available to us to create than ever before. So tying these things in and allowing people the freedom to create ideas that they might not have had the technical ability to in the past opens up whole new worlds of opportunities, not just
the
for
way.
the game, but for the industry.
It's the way, if you ask me. It's the way.
It's the timing. It's how you communicated, how you implemented. And this gets to the next, hot point that we should discuss today is how can token economy can make or break communities? Because as you said, if we have a niche, group with like 10,000 NFTs, and only those 10,000 NFTs, look at Bored Apes and how they did for their ecosystem, the other side. They only allowed people with the token to interact and to experience the first iteration of their beta. And then it's limiting because you only collect the information from those people. And maybe, lots of those are not even players.
I'm sorry, I have to jump. I literally have to jump in.
I know you wanted to.
Oh, holy shit. No, that's just, it's the most retarded thing to do, to basically give your alpha to your investors. Like when I had the game that I built for the previous studio, I didn't send the first copy round to the VCs that put money in and say, what do you guys think? Because you've all been gamers all your lives. You must know about this, because that's what they say every time you're on a call. I've been a gamer all my life. we used to call them bagables. Being a gamer all my life, which currently meant I have no experience in anything related to games and can't even name any other game other than FIFA or.
And their kill death ratio is probably in the negatives.
Yeah, bro. These guys had not.
Hey,
been
let's not
gamers
go
any
there,
of their
damn it.
lives. Yeah, I mean, it's people who play Battlefield have bad KDs. But that's all I can say because I'm someone who plays Battlefield. I'm not sweaty enough to play COD. But this whole thing about these people who think that just because they got a bunch of money around an NFT collection and doing a game, tokenizing the community in that way for a game, it's stupid. I think the Bored Apes was a fantastic community for what they had. A bunch of idiotic, lucky, rich people who are incredibly positive about the space, and they could have been an army that would have done anything. If you'd have given, I don't know what the membership of Soho House is, right? But there are, in most capital cities, there is a Soho House that people go to. It has rules. It's relatively exclusive. You have to be on the club. Club costs quite a lot for a year's membership or even a little bit. And you can bring friends in, right? Now, if they'd have done that, and they kind of did that with the mutants, but if they'd done that with the whole idea of you have an ape, but because you have an ape, you can bring your friends into this particular location, like the clubhouse.
But do the rest of the rich people really yearn for the experience that a bunch of DJ Lucky, Bored Ape,
but
Yacht,
Soho House
NFT holders
exists,
that grab?
for Soho House and those kind of clubs have existed for many eons and make bare money. And the way that they operate is by basically keeping the yahoos out. So,
but
there's
crypto bros yahoos.
Sort of, but the point is, in Soho House, if you go there and you have your table, you're not meant to talk to the people at the other tables. That's the point. You go there to be known but not known. You're seen, no one takes photos and all of this kind of thing. So that level of exclusivity is what people like Madonna and what people like Bieber and what people thought they were going to get. They thought they were going to get a fucking yacht club. For bored people who were bored. The entire brand was around, I am so wealthy, I'm bored. So what the fuck else shall I do? And then they turned it into a kind of a toilet humor style game post Mutants, and then they just went down this really weird fucking route with that. What they had is they had the possibility of they didn't have to build a clubhouse from the fucking scratch. They could have just got a bunch of tiki bars and only letting holders and their friends and vouch for them and had their own weird fucking rules there. And you would have seen the floor price just keep going up, because then it would be the way to get away from the other people. And, people would have eventually sold out of it, and only people. It's just like the fucking Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago. That membership probably costs you your firstborn child sent off to an island somewhere, and also a shit ton of money.
To be fair to the DGens, it was quite a good networking tool for a while, wasn't it?
Exactly. Right? That's what I'm saying. It's you can tokenize a community, but you shouldn't use a tokenized community to do a game. You shouldn't base a game around a tokenized community, because that's not what games are. Games have their own entirely different community sides and community metrics. And I'm taking up so much oxygen.
Oh,
KB,
no.
TBA, jump in.
And that's the concept is, when you give monkeys a lot of money, they're gonna buy stupid shit.
Yeah, and they should have lent into it, man.
Hey.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say real quick, we agree with the user-generated content. We actually had a beta for a character creator where you could create your own personalized character in the game, and people bring it in and play it. But we didn't move forward with it yet, but we still have that on the back burner. We also wanted to do user-generated maps where folks could create their own maps and, possibly be able to market them, or communities could create their own arena for attorneys that they're hosting and things like that. So there's all kinds of possibilities and things that can be done for games like ours and similar games like that. But I also wanted to comment on the Pokemon thing. I don't know what game you guys were talking about, but I play Pokemon Go a lot. That's my go-to game, has been for a few years. And I have over 300 shinies in there, and lots of other Pokemon. I'm level 67 now, I think, but I mainly just do the battles in there. So I'd love to
do. Like, you know, when you get on a Pokemon and you analyze it, right? There's a
Mhm.
button with a little, like, looks like a little medal. You press it, and then you get
Right.
like whether it's a 3-star or a 2-star or whatever it is, right?
Right.
So when you get one that's a 4-star, you can search for them. It's perfect Pokemon, right? Extremely rare. You know that, right? You played the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got some of the honcho ones, you know, the super 4-stars or whatever.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that AG, for some inexplicable reason, has 4-stars that are also shiny, and he has them in amounts that seem ungodly. I have no fucking clue how he got them. They're not lucky Pokemon, so he didn't trade them. And they're like random Pokemon that you just find in the street. They're not like he got them from super rare raids where, you know, the rates are boosted.
Right.
So
Right.
I've had it since 2016. I played again like in earnest in 22 when I was pacing up and down so much, shouting at people in meetings that my wife was like, "Why don't you start hatching eggs on Pokemon Go for your daughter who loves Pokemon?" And now
There you go.
now I have a shiny Rayquaza. But the point is, it's still a 2-star shiny Rayquaza, not a fucking 4-star.
Right.
motherfucker.
But I have a question,
Yeah.
guys. Can you do anything else besides having them in that game? Are they tradable?
You
No,
can
I
send
mean,
them to
there's a
Pokemon
way you
Home.
can do it. Yeah.
You just don't grind too much, Matt.
I fucking hate you for saying that, man. You're the kind of guy who spins a Pokestop and you always get like the rare item or something. Yeah, you can send them to Pokemon Home, and from Pokemon Home, you can use them in the mainline games if you have already found that Pokemon of that type. So, they actually preserve the stats.
NF tokenizing Pokemon now, like badges or
Yeah,
something?
on Sui, they're gonna tokenize Home on Sui apparently.
To be honest, Matt, if I knew you played Pokemon during Gamescom event, I would have traded you all my shiny Pichus and everything,
Yeah,
to be
I
honest,
mean,
because
bro,
I'm not
you
playing
only get
anymore.
one
So
special-
the next time we
You only
meet,
get
I
one
promise
special
you.
trade a day.
Next time we meet, I promise you, I'll trade you anything you want from my account.
There's always
Yeah,
next
it's all good.
year's, guys.
It's always next year, but the other thing is that when you trade them, it resets the stats. So it's dead to me
Aw.
then.
That's a deterrent.
Yeah, it is. It's that's the thing that is interesting. If they do actually tokenize Pokemon, whether they bother to keep tokenizing the stats or whether they re-roll them, because the idea of re-rolling the stats is actually very clever from a games design point of view. It means that Pokemon has a value as that particular Pokemon, and that particular whether it's shiny or not, but it never will retain its value for those stats, and therefore make it possible for people to essentially trade their way up to having a bunch of perfect Pokemon, because you can't do that. Because the other thing is you cannot trade that Pokemon more than once. But I can send you a Pokemon and you cannot send that Pokemon to anyone else or like send it back.
You know, another
So
game
that's
that
very
does
clever.
exactly the same mechanic as this is Star Citizen. I don't know why they decided to do that. Probably because they didn't want to build an economy around it. You can only trade something that you bought or that you have once, and then
Okay, so
it
the reason
fluctuates.
for this, the reason that you only trade it once is because if you allow infinite trading in this, what will happen is that people like Alpha, who's not playing it anymore and has all of those high stats, really rare shinies, will trade it to the people who have the most, who either play the most or spend the most money. And then that means that in a multiplayer environment, those people become essentially ensconced. They become the billionaires of that economy.
Or
And
you
because
can
games
create a
economies,
secondary market which is not anymore controlled by the actual
yes,
company.
but it's even in a non-controlled market, right? Which Pokemon would be if they allowed you to trade infinitely. If you could trade Pokemon infinitely, even if they didn't re-roll the stats or they did re-roll the stats, what would happen is people who are more determined to play, even if it's free to trade or whatever, would amass the Pokemon that are the best Pokemon, that are just generally the best. And then they would dominate the game. And what that does is that makes the game less fun for everyone and destroys the game. It's a model of what society is, that basically the people, rich, like being rich and being intelligent, like being rich follows a power law curve. Being intelligent is a bell curve. It doesn't really matter particularly where you are on the bell curve beyond a certain point, as to whether you're going to be rich. You can be a midwit and be loaded, or you can be a genius and be poor. The difference is with money and games economies also operate on that same power law. The ones who have the most will end up with the most. We see this with Web3 calls. The more a Web3 call has, the more everyone wants to give them for fucking free for some reason, which I think is hilarious. But it's exactly what happens with your monad airdrops and all the rest. More goes to more, which means you create people who are then unassailable. And if you do that in a game where the economy moves light speed compared to the general economy, you very quickly have a game that becomes unplayable. And that's why they only do trading once and they do reset stat. And that's why if you ever want to put NFTs in a game that are tradable and have stats, you should get a fucking game designer that's actually designed actual fucking games and not think you can do it just because you fucking like games. Fucking twats. If you want to have an economy designer and you think your game is going to be good, don't fucking at me as an economy designer unless you've been designing a fucking free-to-play mobile game that's made over $1 million a day. Like, don't fucking at me and say that you're an economy designer just because you fucking think you are. Like, I'm not going to walk into... It's the equivalent of me walking into a Michelin-star restaurant and just pushing the fucking chef out of the way and getting out his pots and pans and then just randomly making a fucking omelet and saying this omelet is fucking tasty because I made it in this fucking restaurant.
I've been
That's
making
literally
breakfast
what we're
my
doing.
whole life.
Yeah, I've been eating breakfast my whole life. I've been eating fucking good food my whole life, so I'm going to make the best fucking food. I mean, it's like when people say, oh, flipping burgers isn't a really good job, and then they serve you carbonized shit at their barbecue. Man.
What about you, Shao? You I saw you had your hand raised. You also
I know. I
cooking
gave up,
omelets?
bro. I gave up. No, I gave up. But I rate Matt as the best Matt. It's just genius. Like, who doesn't want to be entertained by this? I had lots of different takes about what was discussed. Maybe I should just try it and see if it sticks. Just to give you actually a use case example, by the way, going back to the whole like Bored Apes thing and tokenizing communities. What's super crazy about token gating is actually I am a member of the Five Fish Club with Gary Vee. And what's crazy is they actually up the fees for the NFT holders and reduce the fees for like people who don't have the NFTs. And it was like, this is the reverse of exactly what I expected and why I invested in the token in the first place. So wait, I have to pay more to get less, and then other people get to pay less who don't have a token. Yeah, this is not going to work. So it only proves the point that unless you have a robust, super bulletproof community that just wants to eat its own dog poop, like none of this stuff has to work. You have to have economies that have balance and scale of both token as well as like onboarding new members into it, right? And then if you're going to be a golf course or a golf club, this is how they do it. You put a big front fee up front where people have to spend the money and extract exactly what they need so they can go there. But anyone that's expecting just freebies all the time and then just be able to eat for free for the future of their lifetime just doesn't get it. And I think that's the biggest problem in this case with both gaming as well as like NFT communities is that there has to be a balance of understanding of what is, what was, but what has to be moving forward, which isn't, when it comes down to it, it's return on token spend, right? This is something that Matt and I talk about and we both agree upon, which is you have to have revenue stream in order to drive these token economies. So without it, like just everyone is living in some kind of disparate world where there's utopia everywhere. So the other point is yes, we should absolutely tokenize Pokemon so we can make Matt happy and then take it all away from him again, rug him, just so we can get more irate Matt.
Don't do that. Don't do it. Like literally, like one of the things that's a really good example of this is I think there was either a competition or something which was like, I don't know whether it was in a cereal box or it was some sort of competition running in the US where you could get like free flights for life or something. I think it nearly bankrupted that airline. There was like this competition, it was quite short run, and you would just get free flights for the entirety of your life. And that was grandfathered over because of one of the big lines, and it cost them so much. This is essentially what people expect when they have the NFT economy. And the thing is,
so many failed experiments, my friends. So
exactly.
many
But
failed
what they were
experiments.
trying to do to counteract that was allow them to be tradable, and someone to say, okay, my free flights for life, I've used it for like 10 years or something. Like, I'm done. I've seen all the world. I'm going to sell it because it's worth a fuck ton of money. Sell it to someone, and the company that did the free flights would get like a cream off that, and that value would go up when they had more things. But that doesn't fucking work in actuality because the value then gets overinflated by the expectation of this permanent gifts, the permanent gifts. So it's like imagine if you bought an NFT that gave you free access to airport lounges for the rest of your life. You could go in there, you get the free food, the free drink, and all of that. What
And you
price
can give
would
it
you put on
around to
that?
your family and friends, and they can use
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. What price would you put on that if that was tradable?
That's
Like, how
100
would you
people
actually?
more per
Yeah, I
ticket.
know. Exactly, and that is what would happen is that if you had any amount of these, it would bankrupt that service industry because they don't get money. It's like ads free in games. Like when you pay for an ads free in games, most of those companies regret bitterly putting the ads free in there because they pay once $10, and then if they play that game for 10 years, after like the first say 6 months or something, you've got your money quickly to obviously use the scale game, but you'll never get that person to pay anything ever again.
I wanted to comment on something real quick, what Jalen said before about the whole like getting an NFT and then expecting to eat free for life, right? I don't think that it's so much what people expect. I think they expect certain benefits from that NFT. But the problem is that these companies are putting so much time and effort into tokens or NFTs or whatever, and they're not putting enough time and thought into actually generating revenue outside of Web3 mechanics, right? Web3 mechanics shouldn't be your end all be all for revenue generation. That's why Immortal Risings is doing so well because they put ads into the game in order for you to speed things up and get bonuses and stuff like that. And all people had to do was watch a 30-second ad to get a little bit of a boost, right? So you've got hundreds of people, thousands of people watching ads all day, every day, endlessly generating revenue for them. Whether they buy diamonds or whatever other stupid like secondary like soft currency they have or premium currency they have in the game, right? So not only are they selling NFTs, they're selling they're getting people to pay them for ads. They're getting people to buy currency in the game. They're probably going to start selling skins or some other thing for their stupid character that stands there running through an endless wave of enemies continuously as you let it run on whatever device you have. And they're an idle game. With other games, there's ways to incentivize or push people towards sales without making it pay to win. Pay to progress is something that's coming up more and more. You see it with WoW. You want to get to the max level? Guess what? Pay $60 and you've got a max level account. You miss out on all the experience leading up to that, but you get access to the end game content, the things most people really want to enjoy. Most people don't care about the story anymore. And if they do care about the story, they don't have the time to enjoy it like they used to because everybody's working 60 hours a week trying to survive in a shitty economic global situation, right? So, like, realistically, pay to progress has become so much more popular. It, monetize it. Do it right, though. Don't just turn it into some pay to win scheme. Like, if you look at Legends of Ymir, you can buy a bunch of gotcha boxes and get a bunch of cool shit that enhances your guy and makes him more powerful, but it's pay to win. It's not pay to progress. And I like how other games have instituted that. So stop focusing only on Web3. We know you're here to make money in the industry, but make money and do it in a smarter way that's going to keep your game running for a while so we don't all feel rugged when your NFTs are useless to us.
Facts. Nice one. Well, we are reaching the top of the hour. Actually, we are above the top of the hour. So it's been fun, and I would love to hear JV's Project Eldrin, but I think we need to save it for the next run of No Cap Gaming. Matt, take us away, my friend.
And it's been a fantastic space. It's been really good. I mean, I wish we had more time to listen to all the takes. I really do, because this is something that is incredibly important. And it is really at the core of why Web3 gaming is dead, isn't dead, is alive. It's not just because shitty people who shouldn't have had the chance to make games got the chance to make games. Because I believe everyone should have the chance to make games, even if you're completely inept and talentless. and you just look good in a windbreaker and corduroys. No, I think everyone, even the most pathetic low TVC, should get the chance to do that. But what I do think is it's incredibly important that we understand that games have rules for reasons. These rules have been developed over 30, 40 years now that make sense in those economies. Those economies in games move at the speed of light. I mean, if you look at it, the day cycle in most games is never longer than 20 minutes. If you look at how fast an economy moves in the games, and then you try to actually splice that with the economy and the general world, which moves on 4-year cycles, and in games, that cycle could be a month from when people come in and do these things. We have to understand that it is far more complicated and there are far more layers to this. And you can effectively look at every single game and it has multiple currencies. And in mobile or even single player games have multiple currencies like experience, like health, your level. All of these things do different jobs and they all do that to balance something to create a fun experience. All of the economy around the games is to create a fun experience where someone is achieving mastery over time. And that is where we break down, because we're actually then pushing towards achieving currency through mastery, where all of these currencies are about, achieving mastery. So because we get it wrong, we have to figure out a good and a better way of doing this. And this is why blended economies and the new approaches that we're discussing and things that Tarish mentioned make a lot of sense. They may seem out of whack, but it's incredibly out of whack if you end the entirety of why games work and then expect it to work. So it's been a fantastic space, fascinating chats, fascinating panel, fantastic listeners. Please follow everyone up on this space. We've had some great talkers. I know Barachain was struggling to get back up. Follow everyone here. They come here and they do a really good job of educating everyone on this space. And we love you all. Let's play us out, Grim.